It's the first Friday, so that means it is time to talk about the National Parks Arts Foundation. They create these amazing and unique artist in residence programs within the National Park Service and other parks, state parks, and the programs basically are for all the arts, whether you're a painter, a musician, a filmmaker, a poet. It's really quite amazing what they do. So you can go to nationalparksartsfoundation.org to learn more about that. But they also have a program for U.S. military veterans, and we're going to talk about that today. We're excited to have Tanya Ortega, the founder of the National Parks Arts Foundation, back on Big Blend Radio today, as well as acclaimed painter and U.S. military combat veteran Joshua Osburg, who is the current National Parks Arts Foundation artist in residence at Gettysburg National Military Park. So we know he's in that beautiful house and enjoying that. You can go to his website to look at his amazing work. It is joshuaosburg.com. First off, welcome back, Tanya. How are you?
I'm great. Good afternoon, everybody. How's everybody over there?
Well, we're doing good. We're actually kind of in a little bit of a cloudy Tucson, but not that bad. It's pretty good. Where are you? Because sometimes you're in a volcano. You know, we got to figure out. Sometimes you're in the desert.
I'm in a volcano. Yes. Yeah. Right now, I'm in a secret location. I can't share with anybody because then I would have to eliminate you all. So.
Well, we don't want that. We don't. She's in a secret location. Ooh. Okay. A little scandal going on. We like that. I like that. Well, welcome, Joshua. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Doing good. So glad you could join us. And before we talk about your incredible art, thank you for your service. We appreciate it.
All right. You're welcome.
Thank you. Now, everyone, Gettysburg, this is quite a place to have an artist in residence program. When you think about art in a park, you know, we're thinking maybe Yosemite or up in the Sequoias or in the Smoky Mountains, you know. But it's pretty interesting how many historical parks the National Parks Arts Foundation has these programs and the Artist in Residence program. And Gettysburg is pretty much one of the biggest ones that you do, Tanya, through the foundation, right, and most diverse one as well.
Well, the difference between Gettysburg, I mean, every park, of course, has their the sort of epic things that we have, but they're all so individual, is what I'm saying. Gettysburg is amazing because that is the place that we have many, year-long programs, and some of our programmatic themes have started there. It has the most programs for U.S. military veterans. It has the most of any programs for international. Do you remember we were doing the contemporary technology? We were using virtual reality there too. And there we also have the Poets in Parks program that is just taking off across the country. It's such a wonderful program. We partnered with the Poetry Foundation, Oxford Brooks, in the UK, and so the incredible thing about Gettysburg is it actually has such great programs, and I have to say, of any in the MPS in the United States, I think those are the most incredible, diverse, year-round programs in the entire United States. So they're invested in the arts there, and also with the veterans program, like for Joshua, you can reflect, and as it says, in his work, expresses the pain of war and transformation through visible themes. That there, because of the battlefield, there is the legacy of the arts there. So Gettysburg is pretty amazing. And then there's other parks that have other amazing things about them too, but just it's so beautiful out there. I've been to Gettysburg so many times, and I just love it, and I try to get to
It's awesome. Everyone, if you go to nps.gov/GETT, you'll be able to see the park. It's pretty diverse and definitely has a history of the arts. Joshua, what drew you to go to Gettysburg and also do an artist in residency program?
For one, it was like Tanya said, it was kind of like I needed a place for reflection because of my time in the service. but also as an artist. And what drew me to this place was mainly the battlefield.
And so you've been there since the middle of January, right? So you're
Right.
halfway through the residency, and how does it feel from what you imagine it would be like to like actually being there for half of the residency now?
I think it's more relaxed than I expected or anticipated, and I think in a way that is actually, I think it's conducive to work getting done or thinking about work that needs to be done. It's really given me a lot of time to kind of construct what my plans are, what comes next. It's even better than what I expected, to be honest, because I expected to be a little bit more, I don't know, strict in a sense, but I don't even know what that even means, to be honest. But it's been everything that I hoped it would be, and I would love to do this a couple more times.
This sounds familiar. This sounds so familiar, And apparently that lodging that you have, like, people wish they could stay there. Are you enjoying the house?
Yeah, it's noisy at night, but that's all right.
Oh, is that a little bit of ghost in there?
Yeah, is it haunted?
I guess.
Ooh.
I didn't invite them in.
Yeah. Oh, I just kind of felt like it's got to have a lot of spirituality.
Yes, we always get into this on that house.
I know, because I just think so much has happened there that and you're there alone, you and it's quiet and you reflect, and whether there's ghosts there or not, you're going to maybe feel like there are.
You have to remind yourself and think. You have to go back to being logical.
Yeah.
You have to rethink. Yeah.
That's good. I like
that.
So, yeah.
This has been sort of an ongoing thing about that house a little bit, and the Park Service can't comment on anything like that, but I can, and even if I can't, I'm going to. So you're not alone in that, Joshua. If you've looked at the log book that's there,
that's pretty cool.
Pretty active. But what has worked for other people, and maybe even me, is if you are religious or not, it seems like any sort of incantation once or twice just gets rid of that altogether, if that's what you're dealing with. So,
Wow.
And it's not too bad. I mean, because I've been having it's been pretty intimate because
I want to go so bad.
I mean,
wow.
I kind of turned this into my fort, so it's
okay.
I go out to eat, and then I come back in and I work, and then I go out when I need to for the essentials, and then I come back. And so I've been able to really kind of get to know the house a lot more.
Wow. That's neat. So when you go out, are you sketching and then coming back and painting, or are you doing mostly sketches and painting later? Tell us about the process so far.
I did a few times. It's been what I've been trying to do is kind of lend it to be more impressionistic. So it's what I gathered from the first time when I drove up for the first time, and I kind of looked around the battlefield, and I didn't really have like any input, but you can, I guess anybody that's been here kind of gets a sense of what had happened, and that was kind of my inspiration. And so I've been doing sketches and paintings of that, but I did get a chance to go outside and do a plein air painting, which I was excited about because the weather was permitting.
Nice. Oh, nice. I know that you when everyone submits to do this and has an idea what they're going to do, and I know that most of the artists, something changes because of the experience there. I know I was reading that you were planning to do an oil painting series called The Last Measure of Devotion. Is that still in the works, or has anything changed with that?
I think it is. I like to think it is. And it may not be complete or what it needs to be right now at this moment, but I think that it's going in that direction. Like, I think that, like, what I produced so far kind of reflects that idea. And in itself, you know, the idea that I'm creating to begin with is, it kind of speaks for, you know, my last full measure for devotion. And that's to continue my work.
Yeah.
That might be one of those projects that never ends, you know?
Yeah. I mean, because it's life in itself.
Yeah.
Do you, when you're there at the park, and because it's so interesting that they even have a park that's like a battlefield, you know, and it's great that it's preserved for people to understand. And I know it's got to be different for you, having, you know, fought in a battle, to be there too. So there's a deeper level of understanding. While you're there, are you connecting like with the personal stories of the different soldiers that, you know, that are there?
I wish I could relate as far as, I mean, as a soldier, I've been in combat, but I think things were a lot different then. And that's kind of what I've been reflecting on, is like how different things are, how much more that it possibly meant then than it does. You know, it doesn't mean anything less of what's going on now, but I think then it was like a marker for what was to come. And kind of, I don't know. I'm still thinking about all this stuff. You know what I mean? Like, this is still not something that I can really speak on easily enough to where I'm comfortable with what I have to say about it, because I haven't really digested any of all the information that I've taken in.
Sure. I think it's well,
it's a deep subject.
The deep side. I mean, it's and
it
you
really
look
is.
at what's going on in the world now. It's kind of like how history goes in these cycles, and it's the way of fighting back then in the combat part. When you look at the ammunition versus, you know, what they had to work with then, and how battles were even fought compared to now, it's so
totally
different. You know, and that's, I mean, I can just imagine that. I mean, it's crazy, you know, what they went through way back when without the tools. You know, they had tools, but it would be so interesting to, you know, can't you talk to whoever's in the house and ask them, like, what happened, dude?
No, I'm all right.
I know.
They can say whatever they need to say, but I'm not going to communicate back with them. I don't know if that's good for me.
I know.
Yeah, that could be kind of.
Yeah. I mean,
all of a sudden, you know, you come out, instead of painting, you write a science fiction novel.
I know.
A mystery.
I want to talk a little bit about your art, because there's a reality to it, and then there's this softness to it, and it's just, it has these stories, and I find it very interesting. It's like you've got multiple techniques. I was looking at a painting of it was a life study of a female portrait, and this woman and the movement. I mean, to me, the painting is that oil, and it's like an old master's kind of painting. I don't know the word for it. I'm not, you know, good at art history. I just interview people.
No, a lot of the techniques that I'm applying are old master's techniques. I mean, that's what I'm learning right now. I'm in graduate school, and I'm about to graduate, and one of the things that I've been working on are technique, and kind of building what I've been learning, and trying to figure out how to use it my way. And that's essentially what you see now. All the work that I've created is essentially that progression and trying to develop.
That painting, I love that painting so much, because just in that, her face, the amount of emotion, and it tells so many stories, and you just pick which one you want. You know what I mean? You can just, it opens your imagination to, what is she looking at? What is she thinking? You know, and the lighting, and it's just so good. That is like one of my favorite paintings of all time. Just that. She is like a Mona Lisa, you know. You just don't know what's going on there. Like,
well, thank you.
Yeah, no, she's awesome. And then when I was looking at some of your landscapes, you've got, explain that, how you're doing the trees, because you've got like lines for the branches, yet everything else is very soft around it.
Yeah, that's more. there's a lot of drawings and paintings in there that are strictly from my imagination. So I'm not really resourced or referencing anything. And so it's kind of what makes sense to me and what's necessary, really. So, like, is it necessary to draw each and every branch, in order to tell you that it's a tree? Or, what is essential to it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's was it who said that? Pollock was talking about that. There was a quote by him saying that, is it necessary to do everything? It's like you do it as fast as you can to get, because you have so much, when you have a lot of creativity churning, to get it out there and not be the perfectionist artist. Like, just if
it's
people
energy too.
Understand it. Yeah.
Well, especially, when we have cameras now, the idea of being totally realistic in a painting, it isn't really necessary. It might be what some people want to paint, but it isn't necessary to get the point across to the person looking at the painting.
I found that quote. It says, "It doesn't make much sense how the paint is put on as long as something has been said. Technique is just a means of arriving at a statement." That was Pollock.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah.
I agree with that. But then I guess each artist has their own philosophy, and so, and that's just kind of what happens throughout their career in their life. It's something that's ongoing. It's a manifestation. So you'll know who I am whenever I'm done.
I love that. I love that.
And I think things do change with different experiences and different places that you go. Have you found any change in your thoughts about painting now that you're there, as opposed to if you were painting in some other location?
I think that it's told me to keep, or to really to dig in and get stuff done. There's like an urgency to it now, and it's not because, and I think that maybe it was influenced by kind of what happened here. It might have been influenced, but I couldn't tell you. But I know that I've been inspired, especially by the landscape.
Interesting. Yeah. And so now I want to see everything. I want to see it all when you start. I want to see, because it's like interesting the process and the change, and going from reading about you painting as a young kid, painting on walls or drawing on walls. So what's it like going from a wall or from a wooden board to like, okay, now canvas? What's that like?
Well, I still put things on the walls, so I just don't draw directly on the walls.
That's got to be so freeing. I always want to do that to everything.
You did as a
the
kid.
environment changed a lot, and so it's more relaxed. It wasn't as chaotic as it was as a child, but I mean, you kind of free yourself anyway whenever you get into it. Whenever you start creating the art, you kind of get away from it. It's sort of an escape, but it's not necessarily. You kind of have to force yourself to pay attention to everything.
Yeah, that's neat, though. I mean, to me, to be able to have a month where you're processing and producing and creating and having that.
And that's basically all you do.
Yeah.
As opposed to when you're at home, there's a million other things you have
clean
to
the
do.
house. None.
Do this, do that. And all of a sudden you're like, no, just do your art. You're like, whoa.
I think for some artists it's a luxury to be able to focus for a month. Do you find that? So. Like it's like a it's like a golden ticket, to be able to just create and focus. And
it's also it's interesting to kind of figure out like how I started working differently since I've gotten here, since I arrived, and opposed to how I worked at home, because I worked everything in because having a family and everything, and going to school and everything else going on. I kind of intertwined everything. And so any downtime I had, I was creating something. And so when I'm here, it's all creation. And so I'm almost lost in a sense. And but it's in a good way. So I'm fine with that.
Yeah, no, that's what I'm saying. It's awesome.
Do you get lonely?
No, not. Maybe I miss my family, but I don't think I'm really lonely because we also have FaceTime and things like that.
Yeah. Yeah. And
so,
for most artists I know, they just want to be left alone. I want to be alone.
I want to be alone. Let me be. I'm busy.
I know.
Well, it's kind of that way, but I am using it for my benefit.
So, Tanya, I want to bring you in on this. Isn't this very familiar, this conversation, for most artists that have done their first residency with NPAF?
Oh, yeah. I mean, and a lot of times they just get really, there's definitely a pattern, which we haven't been too scientific about either, with the artists, and depending where they're coming from and going to, like, what sort of patterns they go through, which is interesting because many of the parks say, hey, why do you have a month-long residency? And the truth is we've done less and we've done more, and the month is the sweet spot.
Interesting.
So, I know, isn't it? It's interesting because then there's, I'm not saying this will happen to you, Joshua, but there's like, the inspiration, it takes a couple weeks to get used to a place, and then, you're getting used to it, especially if you're coming from, a heavily populated area and then to a place that's really just wilderness and you're in solitude. So it's, it takes a while. It takes a while to kind of get into the groove, and don't be surprised when you go back home and it's going to take you a couple weeks to get, to assimilate back into your normal sort of routine and stuff. It does take a couple, which is also why we don't conduct the sort of the exit interviews with the artists until they're back in their space and have time to reflect, because it's intense. It's really intense.
I think that's kind of cool. I like that.
I know, because all of a sudden you're all on your own. I'm sure you see people now and again, and then it's like, wow, man, it's really quiet. And then you're like, ooh, I'm kind of liking this. And then all of a sudden, no, you're not. And now go back home, and you're like, holy, look at all these people. What?
Yeah. Right?
Yeah.
I think I'm going to deal with that when it happens.
The sense of even with Gettysburg, just having the space and time to create and having to face that yourself, like you end up putting some good amount of pressure on yourself, like feeling like you have to do something, like productivity levels, when it's really not happening. Nobody else is around kind of keeping you in check and stuff like that. Some of our artists go from years ago we had an artist from Manhattan, and she was one of these Manhattan people that were like going 24/7. I don't even know that she even slept, like, ever. 3 kids and a huge art career and a teacher and all this stuff, and she was able to go out to our residency in Death Valley, and she had one of these experiences that it was just too much of nothing happening for her, and she had kind of an anxiety sort of thing.
Wow.
Like serious, and we said, you can go back. We understand. Like, that's really what happens to people. And you went from one extreme to the other. And she's like, no way am I going back. I'm gonna, power through.
Hey.
And but they, and that's another thing about these programs is the parks aren't over-involved, so we try not to overcommit artists to over-involvement, because we feel that, like, a lot of things that artists get involved in, because such a generous people donate so much of their time and don't get paid for it, and we think that artists should actually, get something for their time. I mean, and and that leaves what's awesome about Gettysburg, actually, when that happens, because artists aren't pressured into doing a million different things, as the artists are able to really give what they can, and not too much, not beyond what makes them and the public happy, which ends up being really quality programs.
Yeah, I think that's very unique, and I know that all the artists we've interviewed over the years, the one thing that they love so much is that it's not like if they want to change their entire plan of what they wanted to paint or create, you're like, well, there you go, and it seems that for some artists it's like a personal workshop almost, like it's a learning study ground to try new techniques, to try new things, and that's what I think is so neat, because I think it's the arts now, it's difficult to be able to just cut that time, like you were saying, Joshua, that this is like a very focused thing. Do you feel like it's part of, I know you're studying as well, but is this kind of like a study course for you too, like where you get to just really like, I've always wanted to try this, so let me try it now?
Yeah, I'm doing that, and I think I'm doing that within my my paintings and my drawings. I'm seeing how far I can take them and seeing what I can learn from it. And I mean, that goes for the whole time that I'm here. And what I'm going to try to do is continue doing this, and then see kind of, I guess when I get back home, kind of like what Tanya said, is I need time to reflect and then kind of figure out what works and what doesn't work, and then and try it out.
Now, I know that you said you want to do this again already. So would you come back to Gettysburg or try one of the other destinations? Like I know you've got Pecos, you've got forts, you've got volcanoes. Would you want to go to a different location?
I would try another location.
Try
more locations. I think I'd come back to Gettysburg though also, and I'd have a game plan. I think that's what it would be different, is that I don't want to be able to anticipate anything. I kind of want to experience things as they come.
Okay, so Tanya, what do you say about that when artists submit that and say, listen, just whatever happens?
Like coming back? Well,
No, I mean just even submitting. I mean, you'd have to like if they, would you have an artist number one come back a second time?
It's so interesting that you mentioned that, because we are having a little bit of difficulty just right now with probably half of our artists that want to come back, and which is good. That's a good problem, right? And the parks also are like, we want them back to do whatever, another residency, more public engagement, like whatever, because they get to know them and it gets wonderful and the relationship is really formed. We have one artist that goes and sees about every week. She goes and sees the park that she was at this last summer. So it's a strong bond that's often created. And then even if there's not a lot of in-person communication, they're like, they're great. Yeah, we want them back. The problem on our end is that we have so many of these now, it actually creates an extra an extra program on our end, which means that our costs end up doubling, if not more, to bring people back. And that's not really what's seen on the outside. Like, it'd be great to bring some, but on our end, as you know, we have to pay for the housing and the maybe another side, all the advertising and getting all the community partners together again. So it's actually an entire another program that costs on this end. And so right now it looks like when that happens, we spend anywhere between $10,000 and $20,000 doing that. So yes is the answer, and we love to do it. It's just really hard to do it within the year or two that we had the artist. But if we are able to do that up front, like he was saying, put it in and then I want to come back in a year or two, we're able to kind of build that into the initial. And then also when we get, funding that goes directly to the artist and the program from the government, we have to have a cutoff date, a period of performance date. So we can't actually go beyond 2 years. And 2 years if we're lucky. Yeah, and on this end we have to file a ton of paperwork that says, oh, this program went into yet another year. Can we please be able to still have our funding even though it went on? And we have some artists that have come back for 5 years to the park. So yes, the answer is yes. We try to make it all happen.
But yeah, so the other question, so it does, this can happen, Joshua. So like, hang in there.
Totally.
It can happen. But now, what about when he says, "I just want to do whatever happens, like whatever the creative process sends him on"? So when an artist, do any artists say like, "Okay, in my proposal, I propose this is what I'm going to do," when they do their submission? So what happens if, maybe it's different, Joshua's work, he's now done a residency, one's under his belt, so that may be a little different or not, I don't know. But if an artist says, here's my work, and I want to go in and just see what happens, what do you say to that? I mean, because I know you have to go, there's like a judging panel and all that.
Yes, that's true. What I have to say for that is that's the nature of art and creative. What are we really gonna? That's like controlling the universe. We can't control that. But we expect 80% of the time people end up doing something that is different, but just as substantial as what they presented, if not more. I mean, when artists show up, a good example is we had 2 artists that went to a park, and their proposal was to create a film, a short film that was like 30 minutes long. And then they ended up, in the end, wanting to do 6 of them, which they're doing, again, over many years. That's usually what happens is creativity takes a turn, and we can't ever help that. That's good. That's what creativity means, But we're not going to stifle it.
To me, that's really the heart of the program, is allowing that to happen. Otherwise, it would be like, you paint this style, so you go in there and you paint that style, and you paint what you see and nothing else. Don't be inspired or don't get creative now. Just go in there and paint that picture.
Yeah. Yeah, Joshua. By the way, we're going to give you a set of paint by numbers.
Yeah.
Okay. I'll try it
So, I think that is the heart of the program, is letting an artist go in and focus and come up with something
The hard part
different.
about that, sorry to talk over you. The hard part about that is, especially, with anything government or academic or anybody really that doesn't understand the nature of art, they want to know exactly what they will be seeing. They want to know what is going to happen exactly. Right. So that's the reason that we need to have something in place that says this is what they want to do, this is what they're going for. But it might be sidetracked, and usually is in a good way. But for anything like that, it's the paperwork part, and also another part of that is we want to see that they will be able to solidify and explain their art to the public, to the parks in a way that is comprehensible, even if they do another thing. We had a woman, an artist, that was at a ruins in a national park, and she's a ceramicist, so she was going to do that, and she just, she's halfway through writing a book. She went from one medium to another medium that she didn't know that she was doing.
Is that
I can't say.
She's always telling us she's going to have.
Okay, so everybody, Tanya Ortega is an amazing photographer, and some of her photography has like little secret hidden gems in there, and this is hers. Like, this is her other art, Secrecy.
Yeah.
The Art of Secrecy by Tanya Ortega.
Oh, you guys, I feel terrible.
That's hysterical. I love it. So now, that's the thing too, that there's always one event that goes on where the public is invited to connect with the artist. And Joshua, aren't you doing that tomorrow, February 3rd? You have an event?
Sure is, tomorrow. Sure is. I'm pretty
and how
excited
do you feel
about
that?
because I get to engage with people. I haven't been engaging with people.
I know, he's like, uh-oh.
And maybe there'll be food. People bring cookies or something.
Oh, they'll bring cookies? That'd be great.
I don't know, but I think they should. I think everybody needs to have cookies every day.
Everyone needs cookies.
Yeah,
I agree.
yeah. So what are you going to do at this event?
I'm going to present what I've created so far. So I have some drawings and some paintings that I'm going to show, and hopefully answer some questions or,
I think that is so cool.
Well,
I wish I was there
for that. This is good practice because we've asked you a bunch of questions.
I know. This is why we do these shows on the first Fridays. We can be like this, and then by the time you get to your event, it'll just go swimmingly. And that's the thing. I like these events because there's always. We were actually talking about this earlier on the show. There's a connectivity that I believe that the public and the artist, the public needs.
They
that
need
communicate to understand the process, because you can see a painting and maybe you don't know just how much goes into that painting. It's like that old thing about how long did it take you to write that song from the day I started taking flute lessons.
But the best.
Yeah.
When I did a tour with my paintings, was how many hairs are in that paintbrush? And
right.
I'm like, who cares?
Yeah, but
well, you can always say, kind of like what Whistler said was about how long it took to create a painting, and it's not about how long. It's from the time that he started painting or began painting, it took him that long to create that painting.
Mm-hmm.
So from that time that you start, 40 years or 20 years.
Exactly.
Well, I just used to answer 5,286, and that's my answer
for anything.
For everything.
How long have you been alive?
5,286 years.
That's the way to go. That's the way to go. Well, good luck with your event tomorrow. And like I was saying, I wish we were at all of these events. So, Tanya, this happens with every artist in the programs. They get to connect, and I think it's great because people get to know about artists they may not have known about before.
Oh yeah. It's very good.
I do want to ask you, how did the concert go with Bonnie Prince Billy and also his wife Elsa doing her fabric art during the concert? How did that go?
It was absolutely amazing.
Cool.
Absolutely amazing. And it was, there were so many more people than we had expected, which was really, really pretty nice. And he sang original songs. And it was wonderful. And Elsa's fabric arts were projected on a screen behind Will, Bonnie Prince Billy, and so you could see her working as he was playing the song. So it was amazing, and the audience was amazing, and we will have it up at some point. Hopefully.
Excellent.
Cool.
Excellent.
So
I'm
I'll
excited
send you
about
the link.
Yeah. Everybody, Bonnie Prince Billy and also Elsa, his wife, they did an artist-in-residence program at Hawaii Volcanoes National Park, and also Hunter Nowak, amazing classical pianist. Both of them are featured in the February-March issue of Parks and Travel magazine that came out yesterday, so go check it out at nationalparktraveling.com. So there. It's very cool. It's very cool to chat with them both. Before you go, Tanya, any deadlines? Because there's always a deadline, or is that a secret too?
Is it? I know. I'm so secretive today. I got to keep everybody gets their anonymity around here. No, we've got major deadlines coming up for one of the amazing programs that you all have heard about at Dry Tortugas National Park.
Awesome.
I'm looking right now. And we only have 2 submissions to it so far.
Ooh.
And that expires, I know, right? That expires in about, I think, 10 days.
Okay.
So
artists,
and that has
go to
a
nationalparkartsfoundation.org now. Sign up for the newsletter, but submit now.
Yeah, sign up for the newsletter. And that one has a stipend of $2,000, and that's the one that you get your own island. And yes, there are
Joshua, do it.
an MPS there, but that one takes couples or pairs or 2 artists, because that is so off of the grid And as you know, last year, the artists with Hurricane Irma, when that came, they were evacuated. So, yes, there are hurricanes. And they went back, and those very artists were sending back at the beginning of April for a week.
Cool.
Not to they actually did a residency after the hurricane. They helped with the entire cleanup, did their residency after the hurricane, and now we're sending them back to have, their public programs in different places in Key West for a week. So they're flying out there for a week, and they're going to put up an exhibit at the oh gosh, why am I not remembering right now? The Eco Discovery Center.
Cool.
In Key West.
Oh, man, everyone,
that's cool.
Go check them out. They're, Matthew Chase Daniel and his wife Julie, go check them out. They're on nationalparktraveling.com. You'll hear their interview, the before and after. It's crazy. It's quite the story. So that's exciting to hear that they're going back. They're amazing people. Yeah. Really amazing. You always have such amazing artists come on our show, so thank you for that, Tanya. And Joshua, you're one of them. Thank you so much for joining us on the show today.
Yeah, thank you.
And I have a special song for both of you. Because Gettysburg, is such an iconic park in our park system, and thinking about the history of it, our friend Doreen Taylor, who she's around the corner from you in Pennsylvania. She wrote a song for the parks just before the centennial, actually, and it's called "Colors of the USA." Not only talking about the nature, but the history of our parks and how the parks preserve our story, our American stories, and how diverse those stories are. And this I call it the National Park Anthem song. So I'm going to play that for you. All right. Well,
thank you.
Thank you. And everyone, again, nationalparksartsfoundation.org. Sign up for their newsletter to get all these opportunities. That's the best way to keep up with them, also on social media. And then Joshua, you can go to his website, joshuaosburg.com. And also you're on Instagram, right, Joshua?
Yes, I am.
Okay.
I am.
Follow him on Instagram, too. But here it is, Colors of the USA by Doreen Taylor. You can go to her website, DoreenTaylorMusic.com. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Have a great day. Bye.
You too.
This mighty land of mine, this world around me change. Every day is